Don't know if you guys can see, but if you get the angle just right, you can bear witness to the mystic, the esoteric, the very, very powerful pine pollen. Now, pine pollen might be the most potent, underestimated natural testosterone boosting supplement that you have never, ever heard of. But I am pleased to let you know that I'll be bringing a little bit more additional knowledge in respects to what you can use to optimize your testosterone levels in my secret blueprint, actually, that I'm working on at the moment. A little sneak peek behind the scenes. But I'll save that for another day. You know what it actually is? It's wild to think, but pine pollen is the seed, the male seed of the pine tree. So I am literally drinking. Oh, the sperm of the of the pine tree. Why is it so potent? Well, it's full of 4 androgen male sex hormones. Don't ask me to pronounce these. I'll probably put these out in my book. Androsterone might be one that you're familiar with. And it's actually, what's actually interesting about pine pollen is that people who are on this journey of celibacy, abstinence, accumulating sexual energy find that increases their ability to magnetize women. And that's purely predicated on the androgen factors, the sex hormone present in pine pollen. It's filled with 19 different amino acids and proteins as well that accrue growth, lean muscle mass, things like that. But I don't want to speak exclusively about pine pollen today, gentlemen. Even though, again, I think this is a very viable option that you should choose. I wanted to speak about delusion, specifically delusion between the sexes, because here's the thing: men aren't guilty of it either. Now, you will hear there's a lot of media going around right now on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube about these OnlyFans girls going on these podcasts like Fresh and Fear and the whatever podcast. And the delusion is very easy to see, right? You don't need me to tell you that. You're very, very intelligent. You're very, very insightful yourself. But these women are coming onto these podcasts and they're saying that, irrespective of the fact that everybody has seen my box online, I should be able to get a high value man when I'm done whoring myself and selling myself on the internet, right? And that individual should be consistent with being over 6 foot, 6 figures, and what are the other markers? 6 foot, 6 figures. I think that's it. And ultimately very, very attractive, right? And of course, it is very easy. We have this instant reflex to go, you might need to see a psychiatrist because your understanding of what you think you are, what you should get is nothing short of delusion, madam. You're asking for something very expensive. Well, in the meantime, I can rent you out, so to speak, for very, very cheap online. Is another way to think about it. And I know that's very crass to say, but it's true. It's true. Now, we all know this. Now, I want to speak about the delusion on our part as men, because here's the thing. Are we not leaders? Are we not the individuals that built this world? Are men not the individuals that built the home that you're sat in, the table that you're, or the chair that you're sat in right now? Are we not the individuals that lead society, culture, in a way that is congruent with morality and high quality of living? Think about that for just a moment, because it's easy, guys. It's very, very easy for us to pass the buck and say, look, due to the sexual liberation of women, we have they have destroyed us, right? It's all women's fault. It's all women's fault that we are in this particular predicament in the dating market where women have these opinions that they are 10 out of 10s, right? You hear this all the time. Here's the thing as well. 10s don't really announce their 10s, do they? If you're a 10 out of 10, the last thing on your mind is telling other people that you're a 10. The same thing with alpha males, right? I hate the term alpha male, as you know, but men that self-profess themselves as the alphas rarely are such individuals. They really, really are. You can apply the same to women. Going back to my point, what about my point about being leaders in the modern dating market? Well, we have to show women that we are showing them a better way. And the way we do that is in relation to what we safeguard, what we both safeguard as the different sexes. So women safeguard sex and men safeguard relationships, right? Now, unfortunately, like there is this delusional narrative that you can whore yourself on the internet for many, many years and this shouldn't have any consequence on your ability to attract a high value man, the same can be said about these red pill men who go around trying to fuck every single hole they can find and say to themselves at the end of 10, 20, 30 years in this kind of behavior that they are deserving of a virgin. It's the same delusion. It's the same delusion. It's the same thought of these particular women that do not share or are apparently sharing brain cells with various other women in the same kind of vein, right? And it is about time somebody said it, right? Because I'm tired. I'm tired of fresh and fit and whatever and all these and to extent pearly things as well. I mean, I think they have good content. I think by and large they're actually what would you say? In the way they are promoting, I wouldn't say promoting delusion, but giving these women who have delusional narratives a platform to kind of show other people how ridiculous that their thinking process is. Not enough attention, in my opinion, is being given to the men that would seek to perpetuate promiscuous lifestyle, and at the end of it say that they are entitled to a woman who is a virgin. Here's the way you have to think about it, guys, is you are creating, both sexes, men and women, are creating exactly the kind of partners that they don't want. Hear me out. If you are a woman and you have an OnlyFans and you are 22 years old, 23 years old, and you are selling your box for $6 a month for people to see, do you think you are creating the kind of man that you want to marry and ultimately have children with? No, you are not. In fact, you are creating the antithesis of that kind of man. You are creating a man that, it's the evolution of a simp, isn't it? It's the evolution of a simp. Let's talk about the other. If you are a man and you are sleeping with women, multiple women, but you are not, because again, we back to that safeguarding point, we safeguard relationships, right? And by the way, guys, I'm not sitting on my ivory tower here. I've done this stuff when I was at university. I've perpetuated this narrative, unfortunately, because I knew no better then. But if I take my example, I create the kind of women that I don't want to marry later on because I used to have sex with them, right? To the point where, again, I was just using them for pleasure. But God forbid, I would never enter in a relationship with any of these women. Absolutely not. They're just there for a little bit of fun in the evenings when I'm drunk, when I'm inebriated, when my inhibitions are low. But I am never, ever, ever going to enter in a relationship with that kind of woman. And then it gives her this deluded idea that she's able to attract a man of my caliber later on in life, right? It's not true. It's not true. And then she's ran through 20 bodies, 30 bodies, 50 bodies, 100 bodies. Are you going to marry that kind of woman? No. No. So what's the point I'm making here, guys, is that we have to have righteous control over our sexual energies. And just because we can sleep with someone doesn't mean we should, because we create and perpetuate a narrative that we ultimately hate. We really have lost modesty on both parts. I don't believe this red pill rhetoric that men, in order to be high value, have to sleep with multiple women. I believe a high value man have the capacity to sleep with lots and lots of women, but don't. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And if you think differently, that's okay. But it's probably a cope. It's probably a cope, right? Once you recognize you can outsource your sexual pleasure to a point where you're not damaging women sexually, in that respect, exploiting their sexual purity, you'll recognize what you were doing is creating the very sexual culture that you hate in the first place. And I'll say no more on that.